Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about Bun, which is a JavaScript runtime, and also works as a bundler, a tester, just like an all-in-one toolkit for the JavaScript ecosystem. On September 8th, 2023, the team behind Bond, the founder and all, they wrote a blog post, like an announcement saying Bond 1.0 is finally here. And here they're explaining what Bond is. They say it's a fast, all-in-one toolkit, and it serves as a runtime, a bundler, a tester, for debugging your JavaScript and TypeScript files from a single file to a full stack application. And here they are putting it out saying Born is stable and production ready. So you can use it for your project and all. So basically, Node.js has existed for about 14 years now, and layers and layers of tooling has accumulated on top of each other. It's the JavaScript ecosystem, or let's say the Node.js ecosystem, was not really created with like a clear direction. So we find ourselves with a lot of tooling compared to other packages and languages. We discover that there are so many libraries, so many tools to do different things, and in the end, what we get is like a slow and complex library or framework, and this is like what Born is trying to solve. So the goal of Born is simple: eliminate slowness and complexity without throwing away everything that is great about JavaScript. So basically, your favorite libraries, frameworks would still work, and you don't need to unlearn the conventions you're already familiar with. The only thing you need to unlearn is using unnecessary toolings. Like for example, Born is coming in as a drop-in replacement for Node.js, so you no longer need you don't need .env to handle environment variables. You don't need NodeMon for wash mode. You don't need Node Fetch for Web API. You don't need a lot of things. Like even for transpilers, Born is like a built-in. It handles transpiling built-in, so you don't need to install the TS node. You don't need TSC and all. Even it's also a bundler, so you no longer need ESBuild, Webpack, Parcel, Rollup, and all. And Born is an npm compatible package manager with familiar commands. So to reach your package.json file, for instance, if you have like a Node.js project and you delete the node modules folder, you can use the Born install command, and it reads your package.json file and writes into your node modules folder. So it comes in it's a npm compatible package manager. And Born is also a testing library, so it makes it it's just compatible test runner. So your just syntax just works perfectly. They all describe, test, expect, and all. All you just need to run is your Born test command, and everything just works straight away. So like we said earlier, the goal is to eliminate slowness and complexity and not throw away everything that is great about JavaScript. Born is a JavaScript runtime. It's a fast JavaScript runtime, and the major thing is the speed. I'm going to come to the speed soon, but I'm going to come to the speed soon. But let's talk about Node.js compatibility. Born is a drop-in replacement for Node.js, and so your Node.js applications would work with Born. And also Born has built-in support for Node APIs, like working with Path, FS, directory, and all, and the node modules resolution algorithm. So Born can run virtually any Node.js application in the world, and it actually works with your popular frameworks like Next.js, Remix, Vite, Nox.js, Astro, SvelteKit, SolidJS, and Nest. Yeah, and if you click here, you're going to see a very more detailed breakdown of Node.js compatibility, where you're able to see the various modules and the one that is already fully implemented, whether just few are being implemented. You'll be able to see those ones that are not yet implemented. Every day, the team is working on implementing all of these modules so that we can finally say it is fully 100% Node.js compatible. And in terms of speed, Bun is fast, starting up to about 4 times. It's actually like 4 times faster than Node.js. For example, in terms of build and bundling files, and testing and all, like the speed is just it's so wild when you use Bun. And okay, Node.js actually was running on the Google V8 engine. But Bun is using the Apple's WebKit, that's the JavaScript core engine, and this is the engine that powers Safari and is used by billions of devices every day. And it's also important for you to know that Bun is a JavaScript transpiler. That means you can run JavaScript, TypeScript, and even JSX, TSX files without needing to install any extra dependency. You can run your Bun, index.ts, JSX, TSX, and all. And Bun actually comes to solve the old modules madness that has existed for long. The transition from CommonJS to ES modules has actually been slow and full of errors for Node.js. And with Bun, you can either use the ES modules import or CommonJS in the same file, and everything just works. Though you won't want to do that, but it's just like you no longer need to worry about file extensions and all, and having to include a type module in your package.json file. You need to worry about all of that. And your web APIs just works well, the fetch API, request response, and all. And with Bun, Bun makes it easier for you as you don't need to install NodeMon like we said earlier to handle auth reloading and all. You can make use of the auth flag, or you can even make use of the watch flag to like add restart process and all. And there is a lot to Bun. For example, you can also work with files. You can read from a file. Sorry, you can read from a file. You can write to a file. And you can also like spin up an HTTP server using Bonsar. And honestly, you can also work with the SQLite database with Bun. It supports you can use Bun as password to hash and verify passwords and all. There is a lot to Bun, and in terms of speed, we can see when you use Bun Run, it runs within 7 milliseconds compared to npm run at about 176 milliseconds. Though this kind of speed, you hardly notice them, but by the time you're running like a big project, then you begin to notice this speed. And we said it works as a bundler, so when you're using Bun to bundle your maybe your code, the source file and the output directory that you want. You can also use out file. And yes, we're going to explore that later on. So there is a lot to Bun. There is a lot to Bun, and you're going to see the practical implementation in this tutorial. As of today, Bun is only available on macOS or Linux for installation. If you make use of the Windows computer, you can make use of the Windows subsystem for Linux. You can follow the installation by clicking on this link. But if you use the macOS or Linux computer, you can install Bun into your system either using the CRL command, the npms install globally, Homebrew, Docker, whatsoever. But for Windows, according to the Bun team, an update is in the making, and I think about 40% tested, and should be available so that Windows users can install Bun on their computer and not have to make use of the Windows subsystem for Linux. So basically, if you're using the macOS or Linux computer, just copy the CR command, go to your terminal, hit enter, and the installation process begins immediately. It's quite fast and it runs immediately. So for me, I have Bun installed on my computer, so I'm just going to end this process. And when I run Bun version command, I'm able to see the version of Bun I have installed on my computer. Now that we have Bun installed on our computer, you can explore how to create a Bun project. So very similar to how you create a Node.js project. In Node.js, make use of npm init-y. For Bun, you use Bun init, and then it ensures, it tries to confirm if you want to retain the folder name. We already have a folder here, and we say yes. I want our entry point to be index.ts because later on I want to show you how Bun is able to handle transpiling like right on the go. So, and then it creates more files than when you're going to make use of npm init-y. We're going to see that later on. And then if you check through your package.json file, you notice that TypeScript is installed as a peer dependency and the Bun types as a dev dependency. We're going to get to that later. And then our TS file will just have a console log statement that says hello Bun. And when we run, so for you to run a Bun project, so similar to how you have the node index.ts, index.js. So here we have Bun index. I said Bun run index.ts, and it says hello via Bun. So now that you know how to create a Bun project, so let's since this is a TypeScript file, let's understand let's see how Bun is able to handle transpiling without needing to install any extra dependency. So let's just write a basic TypeScript code here. Let's say constant add, and we're declaring a and b, which is a number, and expects to return a number. So let's say console log a plus b, and we close that, and then let's call the function and pass 5 and 10. That means we're expecting it to return 15. So let me clear this and run Bun run index.ts, and we get 15. So you see I is able to handle transpile. Okay, so since we're not returning anything, so and you see it's able to handle transpiling right on the go. We never needed to install maybe extra dependencies like you're gonna see for Node.js. Let's do the same thing in a Node.js file so you understand. So I'm going to just scaffold initialize a Node.js project, and it's just going to create a package.json file. And so let's create the entry file, which is index.ts, and then let's copy over our code from here and paste it here, and install TypeScript as the dev dependency like we see on that like Bun. And then now when we run node index.ts, we get an error because it's unable to transpile our TypeScript file. So basically we need an extra dependency, which is the TS node. So npm init TS node. And then we also have to like create a start command. We need to and TS. And then now when you run npm start, we're able to run our TypeScript file. So you see all the whole process we had to go through. We had to install an extra dependency, which was not so for Bun. We just needed to install TypeScript, and everything worked immediately. So that's how Bun is handling transpiling. It's transpiling our TS file for us, and this also applies to your GSX files and React, your TSX files, and all other files. So you don't need any extra dependency when working with Bun. Other thing, with Bun, you have access to web APIs, which are integral to browser-based application, offering some tools like Fetch API. Previously in Node.js, to make use of Fetch API before Node.js 18, you needed to install the Node Fetch extra package. But in Node version 18, it became an experimental feature, and in Node.js version 20, you can now make use of the Fetch API. But just like Bun offers built-in support for the Fetch API, which is quite faster. So I'm going to paste in a simple fetch request to JSON placeholder API, and then when you run Bun, sorry, let me just when you run Bun run the tiers. You see, it fetches all the posts just like it would have done in Node.js, just as now. And also, let's also explore the file API where you can actually read and write into a file. So in Bun, you can deal with files just like in Node.js, you can write and read files. For example, let's say we have data equals to, we can write this into a file. Let's say await born dot write. So let's write this into a data.txt file. I want to write the data. So let me just clear this. And then when you run born run index.ts, we see the data.txt file with that particular data. So just like you're able to write into a file, you can also read from a file. So we have the data.txt file. Let's say we want to read the information there. I'd like to add let's come here and say constant file equals to await born.file data.txt, and we are going to log file.txt, which is a method on, and then when we run born index.ts, okay, so this is a promise. God. And then you're able to see this is an introduction to Born Hello World. So we're able to write into a file, or also able to read from a file using the Born API, like how it would have been done with Node.js. Another feature that Born is bringing to the table, like we explored before, is auto reloading. For example, if you want this to continue running without stopping, so you can say Born run, and you add either the hot prefix or the watch prefix like we explained earlier on, and then you notice that the server does not stop. So this is very essential when like your files are changing and all. So you can add the alt prefix, which is a soft reloading. You can add the watch prefix, which add restarts the bond process. For example, if you have environment variables. So that's the next thing we're going to go into. So when you're dealing with environment variables in Node.js, you need to install an extra dependency, which is the .env. And so for example, we'll create a .env file, and we store extra let's say. Now, if we want to access this data stored in our environment variable, so we can just say, now I have to stop the, and then if we're able to get 8080. Now we're using the auto prefix, which is like, so whenever we change it, if we change this to 8081, and it's, if we change this to 8081, it's still going to be showing which company, it's still going to be showing 8080 because it does not restart the bond process using the auth flag. So if we use the watch flag instead, now when we go back here and we change this to 8080, and let's adjust this. So we see 8080. It's this, the watch flag add restarts the bond process, while the auth flag soft reloads your code without restarting the process. And this also works in React, where we are where we have to deal with state and all like that. Of explaining Bun, we said Bun is an all-in-one toolkit. That means the runtime is a bundler, is a tester and all. So now let's see how Bun is a bundler without you needing to install packages like Webpack, Rollup, Parcel, and the like. So in our TypeScript file, let's create an add, and this is going to return this, and then let's say constant results. Let's say we're adding 10 to 2, and then I want to output this in an HTML file. Let's say constant, and then now we're saying it should pass the result as an inner HTML to the root div. We're going to work on all this later. But now let's see how we can bundle up this TypeScript file into a JavaScript file in our specified output directory. So let's say bun build, and we are building the index.ts file, and we want it to store in a dist folder, in a let's say in a script.javascript file. So it has bundled this, and we have a dist folder now, and in this folder we have our script.javascript file, and we have all of this. So now let's see if this actually bundles. So let's create an index.html file, and let's just add our scripts. Sorry, our JavaScript file, and let's create a div with an ID of root. So now when we open this in with live server, we see 12. For example, if we go back to our TypeScript file, and we change this to 1.2.32, and we bundle this file, and we'll come back here and refresh, we see the new value. So you see how we're able to bundle the TypeScript file to the JavaScript file and use it in an HTML file. So this just shows you we no longer need to install extra packages like Webpack, Rollup, and all to be able to undo bundling with Bun. So earlier on, when explaining Bun, we said Bun is a runtime, it's a bundler, it's a tester. We said it makes use of jest syntax. So let's create a index.test.cs file. So any file that has the .test file name extension. So when you run bun test, it checks through that file and then checks if like it passes. And now we say it makes use of the jest syntax, so we can import describe. We can import expect. Now, if you're familiar with jest, you'd understand that all these are just syntax. And now this time around from bun test, and now you can just write a very simple test case. So let's say addition, and want to test 1 plus 1 to be equals to 2, and then we expect it to be 2. And now when you run bun test again, you see it passes. But now if we say it should be 3, and we run bun test, it actually fails, and it tells us we expected 3, but it receives 2. So if we adjust this to be 2, to be 3, 2, and then we see that the test passes. This is just very basic, but what I'm just trying to tell you is we no longer need to install Jest and do all the whole configurations. You can handle tests directly in Bun. So far, we've seen Bun as a transpiler, as a tester, as a bundler, and this one as a runtime. So now let's make use of Bun and Express as we do with Node.js to build like an HTTP server. So the first thing would be to install the Express package. So Bun add Express, and it adds it as a dependency. To remove a package with Bun, you use the Bun remove command, and you do remove Express, and you see it removes it. So I'm gonna add it back. So I'm going to add the package again. Let me clear this. And you see we have Express here. So in our index.ts file, I'm just going to import Express from Express. And then we're going to initialize, and then let's just create a route for the home page, and it sends hello world. And so I would want to, we created a port here. So let's make use of that instead. So let's use process. Let's use that here. And let's convert this, sorry, to, yeah. So let's do this way. And now when we do bun run, let's say bun index.ts. So we see our server is running on port 8080. So when we go to localhost 8080, we're gonna see hello world. So let's create another route. Let's say app dot get let's say slash, let's say rest dot send my name extra. And now when we come to the route slash name, I think we need to restart the server. Download, say my name is draw. So I think, so we don't have to restart the server, we need to add the auth prefix. So let me say, yeah, let me try creating another route. Yeah, so everything just works fine. So you see we're able to make use of Bun and Express to create like a web server, and everything just works just the same way it would have worked with Node.js. So far, we have explored Bun, some of its features. There's lots more to Bun, and new features and models are introduced regularly. You can use it, contribute to a project, and also share bugs with the team. So finally, one last thing you may be thinking of is how you can deploy your Bun project. There are several tools out there that you can use, and one of them is Kinstar. So Kinstar has hosting services for application, and one cool feature they recently introduced is using Nextparks to handle building your projects. This is quite similar to build packs and all. So with Nextparks, you can be able to build your Bond project. For example, this is a Bond project I recently worked on, and you can see it was able to build to Kinstar application hosting easily. I think the deploy time was less than 2 minutes, which was pretty fast. And this just shows you that Bond is already supported with majority of the tools out there, of which Kinstar is one of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd like to know what you think about Bun, and in case you've used it before, your experiences using Bun. I'd like to know. Please share in the comment section, and if you have any question, please leave them in the comment section.